Hi, this is Sarah from Align with Sarah. We are here with the February 2024 blog post titled Love Thyself, Heal Thyself, Discover Emotional Boundaries. So this is written by the healing hands of Sarah Misson. That's me. And we're going to read through the blog post that's available on the website alignwithsarah.com. Please check out some of those beautiful, inspiring blogs. So here we are, love thyself, heal thyself. There is an order to that, and it's very important. Many times we wait to achieve our goal or get a result before we love ourselves or before we accept ourselves, before we can look in the mirror and say that we love ourselves. Love ourself in this moment. And self is spelled with a capital S on purpose. It's always the same, whether it is up 5 pounds or has 2 or 3 or 6 digit numbers attached to banking accounts. And it's not affected by the number of likes or friends or followers, etc. When the self, capital S, is overwhelmed by the energy of the ego, a negative emotion, trapped trauma, and or limiting beliefs, other things overshadow what the self is actually about. What defines the self is what holds our energy together, and it's what creates us, our personality, which is in turn created from our experiences and our perceptions. Love thyself by defining boundaries for the self. Where do you begin? Where do you end? The energy, the perceptions, the experiences, the personal reality, also known as the personality. And with that comes the inevitable evaluation of our boundaries. What do they look like? Knowing where I begin and end is a crucial part of seeing all of me, so that everything that needs to be loved and nourished has a container to be held in. That's what the boundaries are, containers that hold us. Knowing where I begin and end also gives me a value on how much I need or what it takes to fill me up, how much I need for me, what I have left over for others. There is an order to that, and it is very important. Part of having boundaries raises a need for a conversation about boundaries or even armor and how they are different than barriers. Barriers contain overflow. Barriers are temporary ways of containing chaos. Barriers limit the flow of things going in and coming out. They cannot be permeable because they will fail frequently and quickly once they become breached. A barrier is something that can be unexpected by the person setting up the barrier, as well as for people who are used to the barrier not being there. Barrier can tell us a very important piece of wellness. It can tell us that we have a need for a boundary right here. Time for that magic recipe for personal growth: noticing, listening, and shifting our behaviors and habits, our thought patterns, or maybe the company that you keep based on those barriers might just get you the trophy emoji from your self with a capital S. All of this can pave the way for what that boundary needs to look like. A place where you begin and a structure that keeps you safe from where that experience ends. Both barriers and boundaries have functions and the hope of creating safety. Defining where I begin and where I end relates to that feeling of safety. If we count on a barrier to keep us safe, we might find ourselves continually adding to the structure of the barrier and creating a massive infrastructure that we are investing energy, nonstop energy in, because there's nothing there that we trust, and maybe something there that we might not even understand as we're trying to set up this barrier. To know the difference or to discover the difference between whether something is a barrier or a boundary for ourself, one exercise can help shed some light on the distinction. A boundary does not come with an explanation attached to it. A boundary does not come with an explanation attached to it. If you are explaining why or how or even why or why not, you are investing in a temporary barrier. I'm going to take a moment and let that sink in. The tricky thing that boundaries and barriers have in common is that we can create them both consciously and subconsciously. That means they can be based on awesome things or stuff like trauma, limiting beliefs, or negative emotions. Honestly, looking at what we're doing and exploring why we are doing it sets up that trophy emoji energy again. If it's wrapped up with the curiosity of, is it hard for me to talk about this with others? That's a personal question. You might just get the group text from your mind, body, spirit, self, with all kinds of hearts and sparkles attached to it as well. There's a lot of value in looking at what we're doing and why. And that magic personal growth message recipe of noticing, listening, and shifting is a great place to plug in right here. So here's some more questions. Do others know this about you, that you have a boundary here? Have I had boundaries and barriers pushed so they become rigid, unfunctional areas of myself? How do I keep people in my life that do I keep people in my life that require me to constantly adjust or justify my boundaries? Another big one, guarding boundaries or barriers, is the revelation, which is like a spotlight highlighting the need to change up the people in your life. Okay, that's a lot. It like literally says right here, let's take a deep breath. So let's take a deep breath. Talking about boundaries is a lot for some people. All right, let's get going here on this next section. Another tool for fast tracking, finding healthy boundaries, and recognizing barriers is to evaluate the people in your life. Is there anyone who complains about your barriers or your boundaries? Is there anyone who consistently pushes back or tells you you don't need these boundaries? Do they tell you you don't need or aren't worth those standards? They're telling you your standards are too high. That's bad news. Those are people that are not nourishing your life. Though we can tell the story, they might not know better, but the bottom line is that they don't know any better. If they are not listening to your needs, if they are not invested in learning and shifting their behavior, please know that there are people out there who will. One last thing I want to talk about is having no boundaries, no barriers. Having people that push through them so consistently that they might as well not even be there is a similar experience. And this experience is often fueled by the emotions of hopelessness and helplessness. That's the energy that's holding up those boundaries, helplessness and hopelessness. If those boundaries are even there. So, with no boundaries, no barriers, the only thing that is left is our actual body. And very often there's a physical response to this stress. It is known in conventional medicine, even conventional physical therapy, and it's called body armor. The tissue of muscles and fascia will become rigid and frozen and numb. Examples of this could be a shoulder freezing up or a rib that won't stay in place no matter how many times we go to the chiropractor. We could have a hip that's full of pain and stiffness, which is telling us that our body, mind, spirit, self feels like it's too painful to move forward. So, of course, nothing is going to show up on an x-ray or a scan. Emotional piece is the underlying cause. Recognizing the trauma, the stress, and the emotional baggage is so huge. My favorite clients are always those nothing, quote unquote, nothing clients, where there is nothing on the scan, the test, other images, nothing is helping them. When physical therapy, the surgeon, everybody else is telling them that there's nothing wrong. When nothing is helping. These are obvious signs that the problem is not being addressed, meaning that it is beyond the physical, it is non-physical that is creating the physical symptom. That's when we look to things like the emotion code or chakra balancing. Chinese medicine does a wonderful job connecting to the in-between information of why something hurts or why something's not functioning. Dr. Bradley Nelson addresses all of these issues, things like body armor, barriers, blockades, with a concept that he calls the heart wall. Just like the nothing clients are my favorite, the heart wall work is my favorite thing to help clients with. Physical issues, emotional issues like self-worth, self-love, and self-value, as well as life struggles with relationships, giving and receiving love, are all supported by removing the concept of the heart wall. The heart wall is like a barricade made out of all of those temporary barriers that are clogging up all of the energy flow of love, at the same time consuming all of our available energy in maintaining or even still building that barricade. It's a very draining experience. If any of this sounds familiar, I'm going to tell you it's time to connect. This month, February, I'm offering my heart wall package which is a bundle of 3 sessions that focuses on taking down the wall that's disconnecting you from enjoying your energy and your flow and the experiences of love. So with the Heart Wall package, we work to find out what the wall is made of and all the other information that we need to know. And we look to clear the emotional baggage and trauma that will figuratively stop the construction of this wall. And then we work to create confidence that your subconscious mind will feel comfortable knowing we're taking the wall down. And in that process, lastly, we work to remove the wall. And the best news about this is that once it's down, it's down. So this series of 3 sessions is usually what it takes to remove a heart wall. If it takes longer than 3 sessions, then we continue to work until the wall is gone. And there's no extra charge for those sessions. If we get done before the 3 sessions are over, then you have that time to work on whatever else you would like to use that time for. It's a very magical thing to work with. It's a very magical offer that I have out there. And it's an even more magical experience to have that heart wall removed. I do hope that you reach out and scoop up this special offer in February, and it's a bundle, it's a special price session that is available at any time. Because I want you to enjoy physical and emotional changes for the better. I want to set you up for that beautiful concept of that law of attraction. When the heart wall is removed, we let go of the trauma that created it, and the love that we want to give and receive can now flow from us and to us. Find yourself with a capital S behind that wall, under the trauma, among the beautiful light of hope that has brought you here to this moment. I'm so excited that you are here. Please reach out and say hello. Please leave a comment for this video up on YouTube. Please head over to the website alignwithsarah.com. My name has an H on it, alignwithsarah.com. And please reach out to me in an email. You can reach me at sayhello@alignwithsarah.com. Thank you so much for being here. I will talk to you again real soon.